Removed as warden, but kept in the department. Ralph Aaron, forced to resign. Clyde Malley, quit in disgust. Levi Romero, transferred to another state government post. Jerry Griffin, transferred to another department post. And now, Felix Rodriguez, back as acting warden. Throughout this turnover of political appointees, the middle management clique retained real control.
Stay here while I take up the cards.
Its members were known as the Santa Fe 11. Entrenched and under-supervised, they ran the prison. Prisoners cooperated or suffered the consequences.
There was a group of officers there who'd grown up together. These guys came home from World War II or from the Korean War, and the major industry in Santa Fe was the Department of Corrections. And a group of them got in there, 53, 54, 1953, 1954, stayed there. Felix was the father. He was the paternal, benevolent dictator of the penitentiary.
Felix Rodriguez is the most powerful man in corrections in New Mexico. He started as a guard in the 50s. By 1970, he was warden. Another key member of the clique, Deputy Warden Robert Montoya. He's outlasted 5 wardens since 1975. Montoya was the special target of the rioters' rage.
They characterized him that they would give up the riot and give up the hostages the minute we gave them Robert Montoya. You know, they hated the man. They want him dead.
You were one of their demands during the riot. Right. Wanted your harm.
I'm the man that has to enforce the rules and regulations of the facility. I'm the man that has to say no to many things within the facility. And I feel that honest no's.
After the riot, Montoya was charged with brutality by the Attorney General and removed from his
Someone in the
prison
base with us!
But his career doesn't seem to have suffered.
There were mitigating circumstances, I think, that caused that incident. I consider the incident serious enough so that I would not allow
Someone in the base with us!
to work in the capacity where he would deal with inmates. I intend to try to place Bob Montoya in another state agency as soon as we can develop a job that can use the other administrative abilities that he has.
Well, the report says not only did he slap an inmate, but that he also forced another inmate to take off his shoes and then stomped on the inmate's feet. The incident of making a man take off his shoes and then stomping on him seems to be somewhat more of a considered judgment.
That is the reason why I would not condone the treatment of
Stay here while I take up the cards.
due to interference from outside forces, either political or otherwise, usually political interference. Wardens were not able to carry out the job the way they felt that they should carry it out, and they should have had the full confidence and support of the governor to have just gone in there and clean house and got rid of the clique instead of the clique getting rid of the warden.
Neither Robert Montoya nor Felix Rodriguez would agree to be interviewed for this program. Investigation found that staff corruption was another underlying problem at the prison. There was ongoing traffic in drugs, and this was known as long ago as 1975, when former Attorney General Anaya investigated the prison.
Not only were the guards aware, for example, of the narcotics trafficking, but some of the guards and some of the higher-ups had to be actually participating in the actual trafficking itself. It simply could not go on to the extent that it was going on without the actual involvement by officials.
When you were warden, were there guards bringing drugs into the prison?
Yeah, we found there was several. We had a problem. We talked to the official downtown about it. I was told at a later date, not too long before I resigned, that don't worry about it. Particularly if the guy was Chicano, you're not going to get him convicted.
Why weren't they arrested?
That's a good question.
Failure to prosecute has been a constant pattern. Records show 5 guards fired for possession and drug dealing in the past 18 months, but not a single prosecution. And drug sales continued.
If you want weed, pay the price, you can get it. If you want H, pay the price for it. Speed, the same way. If you want a pistol and you want to turn loose the money, you can get it.
How many are dead and I'll say we have counted up to 21. Well, no. Several were smoke damage, some were overdoses of drugs, and some we do think were killed by the inmates. We'll also identify, after we notify next of kin, with regards to the inmates that have been killed.
We need a group to come out and say, these people are alive, these people are dead.
In ABC's investigation of the riot, one of the most disturbing discoveries was that those in power in the New Mexico prison system at the time of the riot knew that it was being planned and did nothing to prevent it. Correspondent Sherman.
Our investigation shows that beginning 2 weeks before the killing started, inmate informants told guards, deputy wardens, even the prison psychologist that a takeover was planned and that hostages would be taken. The information was accurate almost to the very day.
It was to be a disturbance,
Okay,
take
that's
over the
all.
whole penitentiary and kill all the
Salvatore, where are you?
The idea
We're
was
clear.
to take all
Not
the
me.
females hostages,
Right here.
and then he says we have to tell somebody who it is, what's going on. So he went in and talked to Dr. Mark Horner. They were notified there was a potential hostage situation.
And ABC has obtained a series of confidential memos emphatically warning prison and state officials that a riot would take place. In his first memo, written 22 days before the prison exploded, Dr. Mark Horner, a prison psychologist, advised the head of prison security of a weapons buildup in dormitory E2
Guy's a
and of a
pain in the ass.
potential hostage situation. In this memo,
What is he
January
doing?
23rd, Deputy Warden Montoya told Warden Jerry Griffin that the takeover would occur shortly
Egypt.
after the evening inmate count.
What's on
Finally,
Egypt?
January 31st, 2 days before the riot, 13 key state officials, including Warden Griffin, members of the state police, and the Attorney General's staff met to discuss the warnings.
Oh my
In fact,
god, this
4
guy.
days before the riot, guards were briefed in large groups by the
Hurry
superiors
up.
about the warnings that had been gathered.
What is this?
Despite the meeting, despite all
Say,
the warnings,
people lost,
extraordinarily
huh?
enough, there
What?
was no additional staffing and no extra security precautions. But before the riot, in fact 48 hours before the riot, 15 men, including people from the state police, the Attorney General's office, the warden of the prison itself, superior officers and so forth, met and discussed the
what?
report that this riot was going to
Well, I don't think that's right. That's your statement. You go ahead and quote you quote your statements, and then I'll quote mine, okay?
Benton,
I am quoting.
you're saying it's behind the paint.
Well, let that be the record.
I am quoting directly
Okay,
from the.
I
Okay,
understand.
well, you quote it then. I'm not quoting it because I don't know any of that to be a fact, okay?
Yes, we got another room to check.
Attorney General's.
Well, then you quote it. Read the Attorney General reports and do that and leave me out of it.
There was strong forecasts that this riot was going to occur. Now, does that conflict with the information that you have or have since obtained?
We had no knowledge that it was going to explode. Had I had any type of information or had any of my officials had it, well, we obviously would have brought in
Who are you?
additional backup
Ma'am!
enforcement.
Someone help us!
Get out before things go bad for you.
Because about a week before it happened, Captain Bach came in and told us that it was happening, that he'd caught 2 of the inmates with some documents saying when the riot was going to happen, how it was going to happen.
I had been warned by one of the students, if I come in one day and I tell you don't come to work the next day, you just damn well don't come to work the next day. It's for your own safety.
We asked former Attorney General Anaya why no precautions were taken.
I think probably it would have to be attributed to just a total lack of concern on the part of the prison administration. I don't think that any of them really believed that it was going to happen, or if it did, they felt they could probably keep it under control. But I think basically it all just points to the incompetence of the prison administration over a period of years.
Yes, we got another room to check.
One of our demands now is that the 5 of us the five that you talked to, are in jeopardy right now. No matter what they say, once you people leave and they go in there, they're going to beat us and beat us bad. But there is this was that on the camera because it's on the camera and it's in the paper.
We will get the hostages out here. Mafia have assured Colby, Stevens, the two Durans, and Candelaria that they will be transferred out of state tomorrow.
Also, wait a minute, also, that none of these other dudes here in this institution will stay behind.
Will be hurt.
No segregation, no nothing. I'm going to tell you right now, we can't put people in cell block 3 because there's no cell block 3 there.
The negotiations between Rodriguez and key prison leaders, Colby, Stevens, and Candelaria, were coming to an end. Next, the retaking of the prison and the ultimate responsibility of New Mexico's politicians for the riot. On Sunday at 1:26 p.m., February 3rd, 36 hours after the riot began, the state retook the prison. Most of the inmates had already surrendered, some injured or suffering from drug overdoses.
Surely this one.
Only moments before
Surely.
the last two hostages.
There she is.
Susan. Sure. Show me what you can do. Shit. Be quick, Salvatore.
It was over.
My
33
chance. My
convicts were
chance.
dead, all murdered by other inmates. Not one of the 12 guards taken hostage was killed, but all were beaten. Several were raped. Some were stabbed, and some so traumatized, doctors say they may never work again.
Nice work. Scusa. Cura.
The penitentiary was all but
Ed è collegato all'allarme. What? Pizza polato. Doesn't matter. Come on, we need to get out of here.
shell. The officers
Vai dietro, dietro.
total damage, $25 million.
You gotta be upstairs. Safe in the study.
Mexico State Penitentiary riot. So of the last 3 guys.
What the fuck are you doing?
Former Corrections Secretary John Salazar warned Governors Cargo, Apodaca, and King that changes had to be made at the prison.
Detailed this. None of these governors did anything about it. So in my judgment, they carry for the rest of their life the responsibility for what happened there.
What are you
The
doing?
conditions were reported over and
Spawn
over
in the
again
head.
by people in power. Why then did 3 governors not intervene? Why did the state legislature not move to improve conditions? Officials naturally evade an uncomfortable issue, and New Mexico officials seem reluctant to take an initiative on this particularly unpopular issue, so long as the prisoners remain safely contained, unheard, and out of sight. Bruce King was governor from 1971 to 75 and began another term in 1979.
This many grand jury reports, this many investigations, and finally a riot to make these changes.
Well, I don't think that that would be a fair assumption. I think from 71 through 74, that the prison wasn't operated well.
King seemed to be saying that the prison deteriorated between 1975 and 79 under Governor Jerry Apodaca.
Aren't you throwing a little bit too much of the blame on Governor Jerry Apodaca?
I don't think I'm going to trying to bring if you look, when I looked at it, in 1974, you find that there were about 800 prisoners in the institution. When I came back in 1979, there were 1,360 some odd. So you see a great influx.
Governor Jerry Apodaca tried to change the prison system, but concedes he was not that successful.
Was there anything that stopped you from doing as much as you would have liked to in changing the way corrections was run?
Well, I guess the biggest thing is not having a blank check.
Salvatore, stay back!
I'll
You're
deal with
talking
him.
about having to take that money from elsewhere.
Former Governor Apodaca says his problem was a lack of political support.
Who cares about the penitentiaries? The inmates? Well, how many inmates are there? Well, at its highest, about 1,200, 1,300. They can't even vote. That's a very small constituency. They sure have families, they have friends, but sometimes the political pressures from society is outside of that arena is much greater.
And just as the governors do not accept blame for conditions at the prison, most state legislators also refuse responsibility.
Where are you?
So you blame the people who were managing that prison that night?
Of course. I wasn't out there managing it. I didn't not the one who went in and opened up the cell. I didn't leave the door open.
In New Mexico, year after year, we have grand juries going out to that penitentiary and assuring that criticizing the conditions there.
You said that the rest of the that's not necessarily true. See, when you're coming in and a lot of stuff you're doing
Fuck's sake!
you can stay up to 2 or 3 in the morning, and one individual cannot be aware of all the different things that's going on. Nobody in the legislature ever reads them. These are basically, as far as officialdom is concerned, just niceties of the law that are required to be done for the sake of following certain forms.
Sponsored bills for increasing of personnel, which was turned down. Sponsored bills for increasing their pay.
State Senator Manny Aragon has consistently supported prison reform. He thinks the legislature shares the blame for the riot.
And I believe
They
that
gotta
it's
be
because
upstairs.
of the
Safe in his
powers
study.
that the people that were in power during this period.
Why is he not firing?
Hey, over here!
Stupid piece of shit.
To argue for inmates' rights in prison. I think people are very conservative, very punishment orientated. Will be trying to be reasonable that you become labeled liberal, progressive, radical, and not just with the sense of what people in New Mexico want.
In the climate of crisis following the riot, the state legislature did rush through the appropriation of more than $80 million. It called for a pay raise for correctional officers, an increase in staff, and created a 60-day training program for guards. The Attorney General, whose office is inundated with civil lawsuits, is conducting an exhaustive investigation of the riot. The state has been ordered by the courts to begin correcting abuses in the penitentiary. The atmosphere is one of recrimination.
Mr. King, Governor King, you work for the people. Yes, you mentioned that you came in here and you're at work. Who do you work for? Work for the people here. Okay, the people are saying no. Governor King, we need a foundation. I know who I work for. Who you work for.
Get out, idiot.
Salvatore, stay back! I'll deal with him. Over here!
4 years that I was here, I did it. So, if I go
Jesus Christ, this guy is ruining the fucking chicken.
Because this institution is people just like you, and I've seen them. I've seen people get beat up. Grown men like you, and it's a shame.
For inmates still in prison, response to the crisis has not real change. The Department of Corrections is still without a permanent
Get your
director.
first time.
Felix Rodriguez is back as acting warden, and the state seems most concerned with limiting its damages. The prisoners say conditions have not improved.
I get letters on a daily basis from inmates saying it's worse now than it was before the riot. It's festering in there, and the response of state government right now is to follow the advice of their insurance company and say, let's cut our losses. Don't anybody say anything that might come back to haunt us.
Why can't they plan there?
People can speak out in any state.
For fuck's sake!
They're afraid to talk. And so I'm afraid that the whole
Rings all the time. And at one time my daughter came to me and she was crying and screaming. She said, they're after you, Dad. They want to kill you. My friend had been, they told me to tell you. stop the investigation or else.
What are you doing?
What's your ABC News? How you doing? Can you tell me what the law is like?
There's something on these feelings. I know. Whatever you're saying, I know. Please?
What the fuck?
And that is finally part of the classic story, altered by what happened in New Mexico. A cycle of public indifference that needs so monstrous a cry as a riot to even stir it to attention. That, followed by an ebbing back into despair that bred the riot.
There's something on these feelings. I know. Whatever you're saying, I know. Please?
This year, there have been convulsions in prisons and jails across the country. In Idaho, in New Jersey, in Virginia, New York, and Hawaii. In Washington and Indiana, where inmates were killed and injured. The question is, will this tragic cycle repeat itself forever?
Lavorare con te è sempre così?
Being interrupted lies in those few who care.
Everything came to me immediately that could
Big fuckers.
prevent this from happening. But I, in any way, do something then that would have saved the lives of 33 inmates, that could have saved the being.
Lavorare con te è sempre così?
Oh, this car is useless. Oh my god, this is awful. Impossible.
Cristo Santissimo! Grazie a Dio. So, Vittorio, where do I take you now? Home. Yeah, we're home. 6, Okay, let's go.
Oh my god, get the fuck out of the way. What?
Good night, night.
Yeah, good riddance.
drove to St. Catharines to visit Carla several times a week, an 80-mile trip. Her family adored him and wasn't concerned with their 6-year age difference. Like 19-year-old Carla, her parents thought Paul was a perfect catch. In the spring of 1989, Carla graduated from high school. By the fall of that year, Carla was telling friends that Paul had been verbally abusing her, but she was always quick to
Some of
forgive
those
him.
bottles I've had for 10 years.
That December,
But we gotta make
Paul
payroll.
and Carla took a
Get it out
romantic
of here.
trip to Niagara Falls.
Load it up.
There, he asked her to marry him.
Good to see you,
She
boys.
eagerly accepted.
Boss.
To her parents,
Any word
it
on a
seemed
job I
like
put
an
with
excellent
some
choice for
You
a
did
husband.
fine, Tom. Galati's got nothing on us now. Bought some time. At least until the money runs out.
Don't go selling off the farm yet, boss.
Sam says you worked out an angle.
Yeah, and you're gonna love it.
They set a wedding date for the spring of 1991.
Okay, what's the rumpus?
May 29,
Couple of weeks
1990.
ago,
Police
I'm
released
relaxing in the
the
cigar
composite
lounge in
sketch
the
of the
Blue
Scarborough
Tropics.
rapist to the media.
Some small-time whorehouse. Just a couple of closets with some mattresses
The
on the floor.
composite
Gentlemen's
sketch
club.
came out about the time
They
we
got
were
a bar
doing
and
the
everything.
profile. One of the victims got a pretty good look.
When the sketch was
One of
released,
the
friends of Paul
jobs
Bernardo were
and he's
stunned by
crying
what
to
they
the madam
saw.
about all his troubles.
Paul Bernardo's
Catches
best
my
friends
ear
had
on
in
the
fact
couch.
contacted Toronto Police and said
He's going
this
on and on
artist
about how he
also
just
is a
landed
radio
this
for Paul
huge
Bernardo.
payday. But the goons he's working for are already twisting his arm. And he's got the busted nose to show for it. You pick up his dad?
During the summer of 1990, a serial
walked him out of
rapist
the
is
place,
terrorizing the
took him
Toronto
to the diner
suburb of
around the corner to
Scarborough.
sober up.
Police release a
We get to
composite
talking.
sketch of the suspect.
Turns out his name
Metropolitan
is
Toronto police stations are flooded with calls.
Moonshiner?
The man accused of more than a dozen sexual assaults in the Scarborough area bears a strong resemblance to
And I'll
Paul
give you one
Bernardo.
guess as to their
By
exclusive
November of
buyer around his
1990,
parties.
several people, including Bernardo's own friends,
You think he
have
wants to
given his
burn
name to
bridges?
police after seeing
Oh,
the
yeah.
composite sketch.
I've been working with Steady Boss. He's bringing
Police
up
bring
another
him in
shift
for
tonight,
questioning
but he's got
and
his entire
request a
crew ready to
DNA
roll
sample.
over. All we gotta do
The sample
is
is
make it
sent
look
to the
like a
Center of
proper
Forensic
heist.
Sciences in Toronto, where it is put on a shelf
Polly.
with hundreds of other samples
Really trust this
waiting
guy.
for testing.
He's got no love for Morello, I'll tell you that.
DNA still, even at that time, was
Not like we
relatively
got a lot of
new
options
than
here.
it is today. There's all sorts of different
We're cutting up the
technology
last
today
game
that we
pretty
can get
soon, boss.
DNA readings very,
What do
very
you think,
quickly.
Tom?
Around the time of Paul's questioning by
Polly
police,
says
he
this
moved
gate's been
from
good.
Scarborough to St. Catharines.
I'm
He and
Where's
his
the
fiancée, Carla Homolka,
Big
live with
parking
her
garage
parents until they can
downtown.
get a place of their own.
Okay.
The sexual assaults in
But you better not be
Scarborough
playing
suddenly
grab ass
stopped,
this time.
but a rash
Take
of
Carla a
incidents
little
began to
bill.
occur in the St. Catharines
Sure,
area.
big boss.
Once you have the truck, drive it back
Carla
here.
and her family never suspect Paul. They adore him before dumping them in nearby Lake Gibson. It is 2 weeks before their wedding.
Won't let you down, boss.
Well, clearly the relationship between Paul and Carla was a very destructive one. These are two people that fed into one another and encouraged and supported one another, would appear,
I'll keep you
and
driving
doing
safe,
things
boss.
that were just, in some sense, unspeakable.
Sam and Little Bill says to meet him downtown.
On June 29, 1991, Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolka exchanged wedding vows before more than 100 friends and family.
Okay, Carla? Looking kind of like you shake yourself. Ah, get bent. Big woman, huh? Finally running with the pack.
Listen,
I spend more time with it now than all of you put together. Sure. Sure. Sat out on the road, wait till he's finished with his broad. If you don't want him to come, I won't. It's fine. Boss doesn't have to know. Now you coming. The boss said you're coming. Just, you got a face like you're being taken for an errand. I don't want Gates thinking we're friends.
Why is Gates selling
Morello wings? First time Gates pulled in with his trucks, Morello decided to change up the terms. The big guy himself popped him in the nose as part of their renegotiation.
His nose is going to get more than pop if Morello gets worried.
That's why we're pretending to stick him up. Then he'll go back to his pop and tell a sob story about being robbed at gunpoint. He'll convince his old man that Morello can't protect the merchandise. He'll need to find a new buyer out here, and he's heard of a stand-up guy named Salieri.
This plan is some bullshit, Tom. Molly told it to me yesterday, and somehow it's gotten worse.
Hey, when you get a lead for the boss, and you don't just drive him places, then you get the big holes. Till then, shut your damn mouth. Whatever helps you
And she
sleep.
finds that
When Morello
marriage
checks
is
it
not
out,
a
don't
quench
come
to
crying to
her
me.
husband's thirst
You
for
serious?
vengeance.
You actually
In
serious?
fact,
Fellas,
deviant sexual
knock it off.
demands escalate.
Christ.
Paul demanded that Carla get some of her sister and his best friends around to the house because he wanted to drug them in the same way that they'd drug Tommy.
Over the next year, Carla entices several young girls into their home. The newlyweds drug and sexually assault the girls. But unlike Carla's sister Tammy, these girls survive, regaining consciousness with no memory of the assaults. Some of these attacks are videotaped.
He was obsessed with making himself into a star. It's very important for him to keep trophies, mementos that will confirm.
I do a lot of deals here. Parking attendant don't ask for much dough.
Successful.
Always closes up shop till I'm done.
With Carla's knowledge, Paul also continues to stalk women throughout the Niagara region. On April 16, 1992, Paul and Carla take an afternoon drive with the intent of bringing home a new sex slave. They are only a few
Oh,
miles
that was
from
good,
the
wasn't it?
When the couple spots 15-year-old Kristen French walking home from school, they turn into a church parking lot and wait for the girl to pass by.
Carla was sitting in the passenger seat of
Oh my God.
And, she said to Kristen French,
Oh,
excuse me,
This seems clear so far. Only people with cars and people with jobs. 9 to 5, place is deserted. Well, we got jobs and we're here. That kind of a job, sure.
And drives the short distance back to their Port Louis home. It is not long before Kristen French is reported missing. Local police began.
Anything else we need to know about Gates, brother?
We have no doubt.
Only that he's got a bust-up nose and crates full of the good stuff. Our kind of guy. Our kind of guy.
Witnesses tell police they saw the girl with two people in the church parking lot.
Park up over there.
They also report seeing the three drive away in a beige Camaro. In response to public fear about an attack on the car,
Yeah,
the
you took
Niagara
Gates.
Regional Police put together a team of investigators called the Greenwood Task Force.
good taste in whiskey.
They examine
really the
eyewitness
expert here.
accounts about the beige Camaro and reconnect with Special Agent Greg McCrary.
It's a big hunt for this beige Camaro. Eyewitnesses were rock solid about seeing this beige Camaro.
Police do not know
Your
at the
first
time
payment.
that this
If
is a
it does
false
impress,
lead.
you'll finance
Paul
more rents.
Bernardo drives.
And each one's gonna be
Innocent.
bigger than the last.
It's always the
We're all
dilemma
gonna
for
be
law
rich,
enforcement,
boy.
because we know
So we're always having to do
it's been
business
shown
with good
time and
folks
time
like
again
Don
before.
Salieri.
We've got people
Please,
witnessing the
give him
abductions,
my
so we've
regards.
got to go look
Sure
at
thing. Now we just gotta
The
conclude
media
this
began to
transaction.
link the disappearance of Kristen French with that of Leslie Mahaffey 1 year earlier.
been a reporter for maybe 15 years at the time.
okay.
All of my instinct, all of
What?
my
I told
experience
you we
told
gotta
me
make it look
that
like a
this was
proper
really
robbery.
that
Damn
this was
thing gonna be crooked by the time I'm done
major
with the city.
Don't worry, pal. All the
Kristen's
dough
father
breaking
appears
in,
at a press
pay
conference,
for a new one.
offering hopeful words to his only daughter, should she be watching. Greg McCrary develops a profile of the suspect.
described him as being a white male in his late 20s, with a history of sexual violence crimes, a history of domestic violence. He would beat his domestic partners.
Based on eyewitness reports that there were two offenders, McCrary hopes that maybe he can get through to one of them.
If we can drive a wedge in between them, there's likely to be a falling out, and we would like to very much be able to facilitate that.
Paul and Carla keep Kristen French for several days, raping, sodomizing, and beating her.
cab with me. You know you're steady.
They videotape the assault to add to their collection.
Come on, I'll back you out.
Finally, they strangle her. On April 30th, 1992, Kristen's body is found. Paul Bernardo has left the body of the St. Catherine's teen more than 30 miles away in the neighborhood.
We got more of them.
Her body is discovered in a ditch near the cemetery where Leslie Mahaffey was laid to rest. While authorities attempt to link the two cases, local media feed every story.
We cover the next thing
fucker.
Paul and Carla's relationship becomes even more violent. In January 1993, a severe bleeding in the hands of Paul sends Carla to the emergency room. Around the same time, the DNA sample was collected more than 2 years earlier in the Scarborough rapist case, a final process. After sorting through hundreds of samples, Paul Bernardo was identified as the man responsible for the Scarborough rapes. He is now living 80 miles away in Port Louisa, Kristen French and Leslie Mahaffey were murdered.
That was a moment where I was both excited and frustrated. Maybe going down he moved into this area and became a crime suspect and the #1 suspect.
Down, you fool!
Bernardo had been identified and questioned based on a composite sketch of the Scarborough rapist more than 2 years earlier. At that time, he had also given a sample of his DNA.
I think he was more brazen and more aggressive than ever, thinking that for whatever reason he'd beaten the system.
After investigators connect the 3 cases, reporter Alan Cairns gets the police tip of a lifetime.
The guy said, pull your Scarborough rapist files. And I remember now, no, it's the Kristen French murder. And the Leslie Mahaffey murder, he said, pull your Scarborough rapist files. It's the same guy. And I was stunned. Huge story.
January 1993, Port Louisa, Ontario. Paul Bernardo Paul had attacked Carla with a flashlight, leaving her with 2 black eyes, a broken rib, and severe bruising. After less than 2 years of marriage, she decides to move out. Around that same time, Toronto police contact Carla to discuss the DNA results of the Scarborough rapist case.
The fuck you getting
After
there?
more than a 2-year delay, officials have identified her husband Paul Bernardo as the Scarborough rapist. Police suspect there may be some connection to the murders of Kristen French and Leslie Mahaffey, and a few leads. To question Carla, they bring along members of the Green Ribbon Task Force, the team investigating
How the fuck you get in there?
She thought to interview her about the domestic violence. My opinion,
Oh,
they
yeah, okay.
interview exactly right. Because they didn't accuse her, they didn't overstep the bounds, but just by having Green Ribbon Task Force investigators there, that message was being communicated to her.
After the interview with authorities, Carla breaks down and confesses everything to her family.
Oh, well, that was fucking clever, wasn't
She
it?
is afraid police already know or are close to discovering the couple's terrible crimes.
Mongo.
On her parents' advice, Carla gets an attorney and tells him that Paul is the Scarborough rapist. She also admits to their being involved in the deaths of Leslie Mahaffey, Kristen French, and her own sister, Tammy Homolka. Carla holds the key to putting away one of Canada's most notorious serial rapists and killers. But she will only agree to testify against her husband, in exchange for
The attorney didn't cut a deal. And that, of course, was of tremendous interest in law investigators being able to shed some direct light on these murders and what was going on.
Carla makes a full confession to police. She confirms that Paul is the Scarborough rapist, then places complete blame on him for the deaths of all 3 victims. She says that Paul forced her to be a part of the attacks against her will.
How the hell did you get in there then?
Carla also tells them that all the physical proof they need is in the couple's house, on video.
When it came together, it was the aha moment. It's the, oh yeah, it makes perfect sense now. That you could see that escalation, the escalation that we dreaded early on in the Scarborough rapes.
Word quickly spreads that there's been a break in 3 of Canada's biggest unsolved criminal cases. The Scarborough rapist, and the murders of Kristen French and Leslie Mahaffey. Police know they have to move fast before Paul Bernardo tries to make a run for it. February 17th, 1993, police arrest Paul Bernardo. Investigators begin searching his Port Louisa home.
will confirm for you this morning that we have obtained the search warrant. We entered the premise and began our work.
Chop chop.
During a 71-day search, police cannot find...
Times are wasting.
The Carla claims show the attacks on Leslie, Kristen, and Tammy. Carla's word is all prosecutors have to go on if they want to move forward and press charges against Paul Bernardo. Given her extensive knowledge of the crimes and her willingness to testify, Carla's attorney is able to arrange a plea agreement with prosecutors.
They made a deal with Carl and Walker because they had no trust. They did not have direct access to
In exchange for her testimony against her husband, Carla received a reduced sentence for her involvement in the murders. The deal was kept secret from the public. June 28, 1993. Carla appears in court to face the charges against her. Although reporters are allowed in the courtroom, they are only allowed to report on the charges and a sentence. This restriction is uncommon in Canadian courts and frustrates many reporters.
The publication actually spurred the media to write even more about what they didn't know, to write even more about their unanswered questions, and to stir up public indignation about the public right to know than denied.
It suddenly dawned on us how big this case was, and how brutal and how awful, and how psychologically twisted this case was.
In court, Carla's attorney portrays her as an abused wife, forced to participate in her husband's criminal activities. Carla is convicted on manslaughter charges stemming from her involvement in
How the hell did Morello hear about my deal? All kinds of beavers in this city. For now, let's get the booze back to the warehouse and try not to die.
She had received what everybody thought
I knew it! We got more guys on us! Okay, let's slow them down some. Get it where it hurts!
The light sentence causes widespread speculation about a secret plea agreement. According to the government, the plea agreement and the full facts of the case are being kept secret to ensure a fair trial for Paul Bernardo. The public is divided about being left in the dark.
Morello sent more guys after us!
Colonel Herrera is something...
Oh, fuck's sake!
While in prison, Carla files for divorce. The next time she was so called is in court, testifying against her. It is then full shocking details of the couple's crimes will be made public.
The interest in this case was not so much the brutality of the murder.
Sam's going through the hoover now! Oh, I guess we are too!
Disbelief that it was such an attractive
Fucking listen. Jay!
team up and be involved in something so the Americans calling it a killing
Killing Harvey's darkest secrets will soon be revealed when the couple's missing videotapes find the surface.
They don't stop coming, do they?
May 18th, 1995. It's day one of Paul Bernardo's trial, one of the most anticipated murder trials in Canadian history. People line up for blocks to try and get a seat inside. Scarborough native Paul Bernardo pleads not guilty to 9 charges in connection with the deaths of Leslie Van and Kristen French, including kidnapping, unlawful confinement, aggravated sexual assault, and
We
murder.
lost them all. Thank Christ for that.
Ex-wife
Let's head home.
was
See what we
already
got.
time in prison
We got
for
the
her
booze.
participation in the
I
crime.
know it didn't go to plan, but we got the booze.
After agreeing to testify against Paul,
Tonight,
Carla is
me and you are gonna drink a bunch of it.
inside the courtroom.
Sounds like a
some
flop.
powerful new evidence for prosecutors. 6 videotapes found in the couple's home.
That was the first time that they had direct evidence against
Hey, boss!
Paul Bernardo and Carl Martin.
Much to everyone's
Like a
surprise,
38.
the tapes reveal a
Boys
very
going up
different version of events.
We took care
Carla
of
had
it.
misled
What
authorities
about the
about
kid
her
from
involvement in the
Kentucky?
crimes.
I took a slug
On
to
the
the shoulder.
videos, she is seen fully participating in the attacks. Had the tapes
Screw
surfaced
dusted out
earlier,
as soon as we bumped
they
off
may have
Morales had you,
affected
man.
her
Yeah,
infamous
shop
plea
your
deal.
gates and it's pop another reason I Morales.
The tapes were crucial evidence. They
Well,
were
let's
smoking
see if
gun.
this hooch was worth all the trouble.
On one tape, Carla is seen raping her own sister.
She assaulted her sister. Captured on videotape. The idea
Excellent.
that...
I'll work out the details with Papa Gates. But once we're running this Kentucky Brown, we'll be back in brass buttons. Good work, son. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of all of you. Salud!
Salud!
In court, the defense maintains that any crimes committed by Bernardo stopped short of murder.
We had this sort of history to work on, and all of his sexual assaults. The women had lived.